So in this tutorial we'll take a look at using some of the action blocks to actually make your robot move. The first block is meant to control the medium motor. This is part of the ev3 sets and it looks a little bit different than the original motors. Then you have the large motor, so if you need to send controls to just one motor, that would be a good job for the large motor. And then if you're actually trying to make your robot drive, you're going to want to use one of the move blocks. So either move steering or move tank. I prefer the steering because that's very similar to the old NXT program. I have not played around with the move tank much, but you could kind of play around with it if you'd like. So let's begin by just making your robot move. If we drag one of the move steering blocks up and connect it to the start block, you can now see a little bit more detail on what you're going to be able to do. First of all, it says I'm using the move steering. It's got a little picture of a steering wheel. And it's set to run for rotations. So it says on for rotations. There's a couple other options down here. You could just turn the motors off or on. This would run it indefinitely. It would just keep going. You could have it go on for a certain number of seconds, on for a certain number of degrees, or on for a certain number of rotations. I like using rotations. I have found in the past that programming with seconds sometimes eliminates the lag in between each block of your programming. So if you find that your robot is performing each block and pausing a little bit in between each block, you might want to try switching to seconds. But for now I'm going to go ahead and program with rotations. Now the next part here is the steering. So you can see this icon, the arrow up top, it's pointing straight forward. That's because I'm set right in the middle. If I pull this slightly to the left or slightly to the right, I can adjust the steering. And if I go all the way, it'll do a U-turn or even just kind of do donuts. And so this is really nice. In the old NXT program, there wasn't a lot of detail to the slider, and now you can see a lot more. It actually tells you a number, so you can be a lot more precise with your adjustments. So let's just tell it to go straight. Then this is the power, so you can actually have it be full power, 100%, or if you drop down into the negatives, you notice the arrow changes. Now we're backing up. So that is something to kind of take note of that was different in the old NXT program. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to 100%, full power, and then this is where you set how long it's going to drive for. So one rotation means it's going to turn the motor one time around. You can put in decimals here, so you could, if you find that one rotation is not enough but two rotations is too much, you can go right into 1.5 rotations or 1.47 rotations. You can go as specific as you like to really fine-tune your program. And then the last one is another thing that is similar to the old NXT program but looks a little bit different. This is where you select what it's going to do at the end of the duration. So is it going to hit the brakes or are they going to coast? I like to program with coast. When you select brake, the robot moves around very choppy and it kind of stops in between each command. But if you select coast, it'll just kind of cruise through the commands. So I usually select coast, which is the X choice instead of the check mark. Alright, so at this point we've got our robot is going to control both of these motors. You can see up here actually it tells you what two motors you're using, B and C. If you need to change that, you could select them up here. Normally B and C are the ports for the actual wheels of your robot. Alright, so let's say we wanted it to drive forward and then we want it to turn. We're going to drag in a second move steering block and hook them together. And then this is where you could adjust how much you want it to turn. Again, I'm going to put it back up to 100%. Most of our competitions are races, so you want to be as fast as you can. And again, I could adjust how long I want that to go for. Let's just say 2 rotations, and I want it to coast. So by bringing in a number of these blocks, you can program your robot to complete a course or complete a task, just basically with driving.